All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Faces of Business. I am your host, Damon Pistolka, and I am excited for our guest today because we are going to be talking with no one other than Ray Drasnin from Purple Penguin PR about sharing feel-good stories that can change lives and build wealth. Ray, welcome to being here today.
Damon, what a pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity to reach the audience and share what really blows me away, turns me on, and makes me feel special every single night for the last 30 plus years. I love madly what I do. I am blessed.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's great. Well, Ray, we start the show out the same with everyone. We want to hear a bit about your background and how you got into what you're doing today.
I don't really have an answer. I'm just kidding. I wanted to throw everyone for a tizzy. It's kind of funny. So I started developing people skills at age 13. I am sent away from Appalachia, from living in Charleston, West Virginia, to a boarding school in New England. And wow, what a rude awakening for a guy like me, born in Appalachia, to be hanging out with a bunch of uber wealthy, white little waspy kids whose homes are the size of my city. So I learned at that point that if you're going to get in trouble, which my poor parents, sadly, I did, that you're going to need to learn how to get out of trouble. So I did get out of trouble, and I finally tuned my communication skills. Sadly, they were in dean's committees, but by the time I left that 100-year-old prep school, I was the senior class president, and I had turned what was just a bit of a hellion life around. In college, I was chosen for an internship in advertising. And Damon, this stuff was magical. Now I'm getting paid for being creative. I just couldn't believe that was reality. So I'm still an East Coaster. It's time to go to a major media market. I didn't think New York I had in me. I just didn't have a New York trip in me, not to work. And so I went to the second biggest media market in the nation. Went to go see the Raiders play. What a waste of time that was, but I got a heck of an education. Yeah. So I moved to Los Angeles. I'm hired by a PR agency. And lo and behold, this is even better than advertising. Now I'm getting paid to tell stories to the media and working with A-list celebrities and pro athletes. This was my calling, and I knew it. So God gives you certain things. Everyone has their own core competencies. For me, it's gift of gabs, nouns and verbs, how to make communication come alive, both written and verbally. Boarding school was incredible for that. It was expected that you would be an extraordinary communicator. And that was one of the takeaways after I learned how to get my scrawny little butt out of trouble. And it made a world of difference. It's still who I am today. I think I was in Home Depot the other day, and the guy trying to help me with a door lock says, "Are you in marketing?" And I go, "Yeah, what an obscure question." And we have engagement because for some reason he thought that's the way I spoke. That's how I communicated.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So when you started out, did you feel this when you started out that you were meant for this?
It blew me away. So I'm in advertising. I'm an East Coaster. In advertising, you have to write billboards that are 7 to 11 words. I can't clear my throat in under 50 words. So advertising was not for me. I was too verbose. Storytelling is what the heck I am and how I was made. I sat down in that first PR agency in Los Angeles, and they said, "Ray, after listening to me on the phone, so PR is you create press materials, and then you do phone follow-ups by calling the media, producers, editors, reporters, and following up on that press release. In my world, you get 30 seconds to own the assignment desk, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN. There's 10 million little piss ants like me. Is my story better than the other ones? Is my client better than the other ones? That's your prove it time." And so I was good at that. It was a core competency. It felt empowering. And they said, "Ray, don't even type. Don't even get on the computers. You're more than welcome to wash your little Triumph TR6 outside at lunchtime. Put your feet up on the table and pitch the media." And this is what everyone hates in my industry, Damon.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
hire all these 20 and 30-year-old happy young people excited to be in the sexy PR world. And all they want to do is type emails and write email pitches. They're afraid, they're trepidatious, they're overly cautious to get on the phone and express themselves. Why? Because their head has been buried in this thing for way too long. Their communicative skills will never be yours and mine because they don't believe in themselves. They haven't been pushed other than in school, and then they find a mockery of that. And, I remember my son coming home and going, Dad, I go on a bike ride with my friends. We stop at Starbucks to get a water. And instead of talking about the beautiful areas here in San Diego where I live that we just rode our bikes through, the first thing everyone does is grab their phone and stuff it up to their face. And so, yeah, it was a pleasure to find my calling is the short answer.
Well, and it's really unique for you to be able to find it that early, because most people, they might go through 2 or 3 iterations of where they're going to be, and some people go off the rails a long ways to find what they want to do. So that was cool.
It's surprising. You aren't supposed to get that aha epiphany moment at age 13. But a little wild child, I am some West Virginia guy who can't say my name in under like 2 minutes. Those kids in New Jersey and Connecticut tortured me. So I knew that could not last. So the accent went away, the skill sets came alive, and it still feels good. Whether I'm engaging at the grocery store with someone that I just want to say, I remember I was there a few weeks ago, and it's an elderly woman, and she looks so pulled together. And I'm picking my silly avocados, and I can't stop myself. And I say, excuse me, ma'am. The brim of her hat was the exact same as the cuffs on her sleeves. I say to her, you know what? You look like Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn back in my father's and mother's generation, when people used to dress up to go on the planes and look formal. She was so happy, right? You have 50 seconds in the world to make a new friend, to come up with engagement, to be able to share a thought. Both people walked from that significantly happier than if I had never opened my mouth. So it continues to pay dividends. And you're right. I see people changing who they are late in life, but they're not passionate, Damon. They're not passionate about it. You can see in their eyes, they don't open up wide. They're not leaning forward. All the body language tells, like in poker, the tells. They're doing it because they're getting through a process. They're doing it because it generates more income than the last job, but they don't wake up in love with it. And I feel sorry for each and every one.
Yes. Yeah. It's interesting how that happens. And some people never get it. Some people don't think they'll ever get it. And that's too bad too, because they don't. So you started out, if people haven't, they need to go out and watch your TEDx video. That's pretty telling of your transition over time, because you started off, like you said, you're doing PR with A-listers, professional sports athletes, and other people like that. But you had a bit of reckoning in your life, and let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, that's a good place to go. That was an aha moment. So I'm in LA at the top of the Wiltern Theater at Wilshire and Western. I'm 20-nothing years old. It's the 1980s. You can't even get your haircut in Los Angeles without someone doing some type of drug in front of you. I feel totally like a fish out of water. But they give me a personal secretary, and she tells me when it's my grandmother's birthday, and she gives me a birthday card that all I have to do is sign. And so everything seems so perfect. Oh, I'm good at new business. So now I'm not just on the phones pitching stories. I'm going out and doing new business development, which I had to do later in life. I've been an entrepreneur for 40 years. Who makes the rain? It's nice when the CEO has that skill set.
Yes.
But I look at myself in the mirror one day, and I realize I've got all these wrinkles. Well, now it's okay, I'm old. But back then, all these furrowed brows. And I thought, you're not the same guy that your parents brought you up to be. You're not honorable and ethical. You don't cut win-win deals. You try and out-negotiate someone because of the gift of gab. So instead of taking something God-given and doing all the right things, I think I was lost in male ego. And that is the day I said, I've got to get out of LA. I had been there 5 years. and LA puts an edge on you. I still pitch LA. I get ABC, NBC, CBS. I speak Spanish. I lived in Spain. My mom is French. I speak French. I get international placements pitching in 3 languages. I love going to LA. We'll talk hopefully about a couple of my clients that I have just blown up in Los Angeles and then taken it further and further, more than local, more than national, more than international. And so I decided it was time to move to little surf town San Diego. And this place is absurd. It's perfect. Everyone has no body fat. Every day is 76 degrees and sunny. Every weather forecast is the same. Late night and early morning, low clouds breaking into sunny sunshine, right? It's a chamber of commerce day every day here.
Yes,
and
it is.
It gave me my start. So I came here, I had an earring, I spoke too quickly. I liked the Dodgers. They hated me in San Diego when I came. I couldn't be the antithesis. I was like the Antichrist here when I came.
Yeah.
And so I go to all the different PR agencies, and my mentor, who I found right away, what a blessing from above, says, Ray, I'm going to send you to company ABC, and then I'm going to send you to company CDE and EFG. Goes, how did it go, Ray? Well, I don't think I liked them. Well, good, because they didn't like you, and it got progressively worse. And so he said, start your own agency. I'm going to be your mentor, and I promise you success. And it was like my second dad, Damon. It was unbelievable.
Nice.
The young women that used to work for me in PR is predominantly a female engaged industry. I would always tell them, you at this early age, in your early 20s, need to find, and I think it should be a female mentor that can teach you about how to walk into a boardroom, how to own your space, how to have that bubble that says, I am strong regardless of my age and regardless of my skills. And that's what he taught me. My mentor, Dave Nuffer, God rest his soul, made me far more important than I was. In the very beginning, he made me prove my mettle. How good are you, right? Then he started putting me in front of big national clients, Tropicana orange juice that he was pitching. He gets me an opportunity to pitch. And they said, we liked you better than anyone, but your agency is too small. So I learned that. That was taking my lumps. Well, I'm going to build my team. Now we're no longer 8 people, we're 12 people. We would bill as much as the biggest agency on the West Coast. You put great people underneath you. You learn the E-Myth, that book, The Entrepreneurial Myth, in the beginning. You work in your company. Oh, I'm a publicist. Be a good publicist. Hooray, Ray. Write well, type well, pitch well. You're a good publicist. Then the next step, work on your company. Go up 30,000 feet and start hiring your weakness. I didn't want to write anymore. I was too slow. I was glad I won national awards at it, but it wasn't my core competency. So if it wasn't me on the phone or doing new business, it was outsourced. You either make it an employee or you make it an outsource, and then you mark that outsource up 22%.
Yep.
It was just business 101, but it was learning by fire. And with the help of a mentor, wow, Damon, it blew me away. Things made sense. And when I came back to that mentor, I took copious notes. I would show them what my action items were from the last time I met with them. I would tell them the update on that action items, and they would say, we wish we had employees that worked as hard as you. So East Coasters have no issues with work ethic. East Coasters even think like a business owner. Midwesterners work like you've never seen. And Californians are almost impossible to hire. It's like Wednesday. No, it's Friday at 1 o'clock. I'm out of here. 5:02, take care. Are you kidding? We're working with celebrities, and we're working with pro athletes. We're working with Rob Dyrdek. We're working with sexy, fun, cool, ridiculous people that have more than one TV show at a time. If you can't go and have a snooty glass of white wine and enjoy what you're doing, don't let the door hit you. And I did end up building a team that loved what they did. And I hear from them 20 years later. I'm now the head of PR at such and such, bigger, more impressive than me. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's awesome when you see people that you've helped as a mentor to help them develop in their careers and them go off and do things that are just wild and exciting.
What a cool thing to say. That is the reason I do personal branding now. So a little while ago, this is fun, the path you're taking me down. You said, how did it start and where did it go?
Yeah.
And what were the skills and why did you know? And why was PR different than advertising? The reality is I did this stuff for a million years. And then about 12 years ago, my kids are only 20-year-old twins.
Yeah.
About 15, no, they were 8. So 12 years ago, I realized I'm taking huge paychecks from guys that are in trouble. They are sleeping with underage people. They call me at 2 a.m. They are busted by a cop. They're pissed off because their Bentley is impounded. And I have to tell them, never call me at 2 a.m. again. But yes, I'm going to get your butt out of trouble. So the next day, I have Mr. Poor Guy whose Bentley was impounded and he was sleeping with someone underage and he's all pissed off. What do I have him doing? He's in the oncology ward of, let's just say it was an Oakland Raider, even though I can't say, of Oakland Hospital, Oakland Children's Hospital, and he's signing footballs for poor kids in the oncology ward. I got ahead of the bad news. I was really good at that. The paychecks were absurd, and I came home and realized I was a big phony baloney. Here's me talking to Aaron and Sophie, my kids, about morals and values and ethics. And by the way, you know what? That is a good idea. If you can drop a link to what that TED Talk is, people will see me say this in person on a stage. Yeah. And I was a phony baloney. It was all about the money. Me telling kids, oh, it's all about the morals, values, and ethics. Me wanting to put my head on the pillow and feel like I was such a good old dad, even though they would say how nice your grandfather came to drop you off at elementary school. It was about learning how to rise above my skills and how to come back to how my parents brought me up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's very cool that you found your soul, so to speak, and came back and really shared with people, and made a change. And now you went out and were able to do that change. And now you're sharing with people now because it, a lot of people that money's hard to walk away from. It is.
There's no doubt about that. It's showtime. You have from 2 a.m. until 6 a.m. to put together a plan, to put your team together, to get a press release written, to be able to put your favorite contacts together. Because now you're not just doing this in a vacuum. Now you're going to people that already love you. They know you only pitch media people. That's my target audience. So when I'm going after new business, it's consumers or it is a corporation. It's oftentimes celebrities or pro athletes or whatever. When I am pitching media, it is reporters, it's producers, it's people on the assignment desk. I go to my favorites. They know I've only brought them great things. And so when it's time for tit for tat to show favors, boom, they go, yeah. I don't have to give the whole story back then. And I don't believe in that now. I think if I don't give the full backstory on what a situation is, I think I'm cheating the media. And I think I should be burned for that later in life. And so now it's all about what is going on. And if there is a challenge, I'll share with you a new client later on if you want me to. Her name is Jen Drummond. She's a 44-year-old mom, a mother of 7. She has a multi-million-dollar financial services company. She's stunningly beautiful. She gets in a horrid accident in 2018. They pull her out of her Porsche with the jaws of life. Everyone says she shouldn't have lived. She says, I have a new lease on life, life 2.0. I am no longer going to eat the little leftovers on my 7 kids, thank you very much, Catholic world, off of their plates. I am going to go to a Michelin star restaurant. I am going to live life. I am going to carpe diem. I am going to be a role model instead of just a mother for my kids. And she now has climbed the 7 second highest summits of the biggest mountains on all 7 continents. She's flying to Papua New Guinea as we speak to climb the last one, which will count for Indonesia. She'll be the only woman in the world who's done this. And she's summited 4 of the biggest, the very highest peaks on all 7 continents. She's bigger than life. You think this bottle could make her sexy in the media. So I put on clients that have these stories, and hopefully I can teach some of your audience. It doesn't have to be that you're special in the beginning. I know how to take people that have a good heart and are committed to philanthropy, don't look like Quasimodo, know how to put nouns and verbs together. Those are the only criteria. If you're an okay looking individual, you have a great heart, you give back, cause marketing, you give back philanthropy, I can blow you up. I can make you bigger than life. I can make you generational wealth. And that was my aha about 12 years ago when I told the kids, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I'm sorry, I'm a charlatan, I'm a quack, I'm a demagogue. I'm going to be the dad I need, you need me to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's awesome. You're able to make that switch. So let's talk about that switch. You decided that you were going to help people that are out there doing good, making an impact, a good impact in the world, but you're going to help them expand what they can do with your talents. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think it's really cool, because you're applying your talents in a different way that really is, as the title says, it's changing lives in a good way, and helping everyone and make some money in the process. But you're all helping people. It's really cool how it works together.
I had no idea that this would be the avenue that I would go down, but the mirror is pretty telling. Either you're sharing realities about what should happen, or you're sharing realities about who you are and what you do. So that epiphany, that aha moment was great. And I realized not only that, but thank you from above, it was the best hook for me to be able to pitch media. So I don't care if you're Elon Musk and you make more money than God and everything you touch goes golden. And even when you screw up comments about Israel, you get to fly there and meet with the prime minister. He's untouchable, right? He's Teflon. He's like the Teflon Don. You can't touch him. The front cover of Time magazine is Elon's car, a Tesla, with a fake astronaut going to the real moon in Elon's spaceship. That's unbelievable. That's PR at its extraordinary top, at its best. But all I cared about was that these people gave back philanthropically. And media told me, Ray, that is what changes everything. I've been doing this so long, I was able to reach out to ABC and Fox, a couple of my friends, and go, why doesn't my pitch resonate? Because it doesn't feel good, Ray. You're pitching me a product. You're pitching me a service. Your people are great. Your spokespersons are incredibly well media trained, which is what I do to teach people how to answer no matter what the question. Yeah. Here's your 7 sound bites, spit it out. So, Damon, aren't you really just doing a podcast to aggrandize yourself and not really sharing anything of merit with your audience? Well, you have to know how to bridge. In 2 seconds, you have to be able to say to the cheery little reporter who has a hidden agenda, well, Janie, I'm sorry, perhaps that's true for others in my industry, but the reality is the stories and the people that I put on this podcast are meant to educate and meant to make the planet a little better. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of where it's going, and I look forward to the next year and the next year. Bam! Now you're a visionary. Now you're a soulful guy, but you got to be trained to know how to get out of that funky situation. So I said, I'm not going to put on a client unless they have strong cause marketing or they're philanthropic. Yeah. Those are the criteria. Now, again, you have to be pretty good looking. You have to be articulate.
Yeah.
You can't stammer your way through it. Mm-hmm. But if you're giving back, that's the hook that makes them, not money just for their family, that gives them opportunity to be in front of the uber wealthy. Because now the cause that you love, how many other daddy big bucks with wallets the size of a city also like animals, military, the elderly, cancer patients, cancer survivors? It doesn't matter what the cause. They come out of the woodwork. And when I stick them on every TV, when I stick them on the covers of magazine, when I place them on the front page of the features section of the New York Times, now their story's bigger than life.
Yes.
I had a client last year that I got 2 million impressions for. And it made his nonprofit, his GoFundMe, $750,000. It made his nonprofit $5 million. That's the power of the press.
Yes.
He's an unbelievable story. Everything was perfect about him. He comes up to me at the gym and says, everyone's told me about this national PR guy and that I need him. He was perfect. And so why drive a stick shift if you don't know how to drive stick, right? Why should I put on mediocre clients that don't have gift of gab, that aren't somewhat charming, that aren't giving back? I put on only what makes my job easy. I don't want to work 40 hours a week. I want to have fun with the kids. I want to be outside gardening. I want to do the things that turn me on, like new business develop, find more. I have a brand new client who was sitting in jail for a month. He, in his early 20s, made $42 million. Then all of a sudden there's a car accident and he feels horrible about that. And people were injured and he's sitting in a jail cell. And the potential is that he might go to prison for 6 years. The reality is he didn't do that. And it was his aha moment. It was his epiphany. And he said, now I'm going to create a giving platform that makes it so easy that people will see exactly who they're helping. You're not going to give $200 to the United Way and 60% of that go in the CEO's pocket. You're not going to give to people who survived the Hawaii fires when that whole beautiful part of their world was wiped out, because none of it's going to get to them. Now you can say, I wanted to go to Jane Doe and her 2 kids. I wanted to go to temporary housing. And here's another $500 for the first week's groceries.
Yeah.
So these are inspirational stories. I mean, and you can listen to me as I deliver them. They turn me on, right? You can't lie to the camera. You got to believe in it. You got to believe in your client base. When you started this 500 people ago, you weren't as good. You didn't get access to as many big shots, and you probably didn't take them cleanly, cleverly, and astutely down a path like you're doing with me. It's good to get better at what we do, isn't it?
When you work at it, you can get a little better. That's for sure. And the thing that I really enjoy listening to you about this is I imagine back to the years and like you said, getting better at the craft, doing what you're doing, building the relationships with people. It had to be a breath of fresh air when you started bringing feel good stories to them, because it is a different thing to be coming into the press with something. We watch the press today. Everything's negative, or not everything, but there's a lot of negative. And you are that breath, that 10% that we don't see enough of.
First of all, thank you for the kind words. That is supposed to be the goal. When I write down my mission vision statements, it is that. So watch here. Here's an assignment for everyone that's going to be watching the podcast now and in the future. Put on the evening news. I know we all get our whatever we want through an RSS feed, and we can go online. We can find exactly what we want. But when you watch the evening news, and first of all, get through the commercials, it's horrid. You're going to find the Jews that hate the Arabs. You're going to find the whites that hate the blacks. You're going to find the Republicans that hate the Democrats. Hate, 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 hate. And then to your point, Damon, at the very end, that 90-second to 2-minute and 15-second piece is the feel good. And Pretty Perfect Nora O'Donnell on CBS is going to tell us about Eye on America. And it's going to be about a Eagle Scout who goes and takes a bunch of friends for his Eagle Scout project and takes care of a senior woman's front and backyard that have been left untaken care of for months. And they do it all for free. And it makes them feel good. And this elderly woman finally has pride, and she gets to come out of her house and meet her neighbors because she's really been in hiding because her life went to heck in a handbasket. Those are feel good stories. Yeah, and you're right. They love them. No one pitches it. And I'll tell you what makes for great PR. 4 things. Okay, note takers, take your notes right now. Copious notes. Here we go. First, best, only, and controversial. First, best, only, and controversial. That is what's sexy. That is what's compelling. That is what's newsworthy. And when you watch the evening news, no matter how laborious it is, watch Pretty Nora O'Donnell this evening or tomorrow. Watch the feel good. It is a feel good. What a great way to tag. You don't go see a musical production and they just leave the stage. No, everyone stands up. Come back, come back, come back. Right? I just went to see Bob Marley's sons, all 5 of his sons, live in concert doing all of their dad's music. The whole crowd in San Diego, everyone knew every single word. Of course, it was like being in a Jamaican pot fest, you know. Oh, yeah. But the fact is, when you're in an environment and you can create something special like a feel-good story, then it gave me my to-do orders in terms of who the client base would be. They are going to be nice. They are going to give back. They are going to have skill sets, and I'm going to pitch them because they're going to continue to do it. And as I generate more income, let's talk about Dr. Kwane Stewart in a little while. Veterinarian. He became better and better at the game. It wasn't just going and taking care of animals. I'll tell you about how that escalated, how it turned him into the CNN Hero of the Year, how it made him part of Hollywood, how people started throwing cash at him, how he goes on Kelly Clarkson that I pitch laying in bed with COVID, and she gives him another 10,000 cash after he makes 100,000 in cash for being CNN Hero of the Year. And you know how much he takes? None of it. He gives every cent to his nonprofit. ProjectStreetVet.org. These are the heroes. Once you start telling them and they start seeing that they are bigger than life, they believe it. They become bigger, they become better. And now I'm changing the world. A tiny little piece, man. But you and I both. You tell the world and show the people and show your audiences the people that are doing something a little unique, that are a little off kilter, that maybe are breaking the rules. And what a cool thing to be able to show them, because the whole world is not by drawing inside the lines.
Yes.
Entrepreneurs break rules. Entrepreneurs find a void in the marketplace and fill it. That's all you have to do. That makes success.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's just for a second. I want to go back into your client you were talking about, but I want to ask you a little more technical question because I mean, you and I, let's just say we're digital immigrants, right? We were around before there was everything was digital. How has that really changed the way that all this works? Because I mean, now we don't just have major television or radio. I mean, we've got everything now. There's a gazillion outlets you can use.
Spot on, buddy. I was becoming a dinosaur, right? This is old world stuff I do. This is Hollywood in the 50s. Drink martinis at lunch and old Blue Eyes hanging with Sammy Davis Jr., right? And the Brat Pack and the whole thing. They all had publicists. I'm not a PR guy. I'm a publicist. My job is to blow up people's images, to make them bigger than life, to get accolades for them, to get opportunities for them. But just last year, I realized the dinosaur syndrome was getting closer and closer, and I really wasn't looking for a meteor to strike the earth. So instead of that happening, my thought was, how do I reinvent myself? And there's an old adage, and it says, you never take your apples to market without shining them first. So I needed to put a shine, a luster on my own brand. So now I started doing PR for who? For me. Oh, and now look at me. I'm talking about the insights to how to be a publicist. I'm talking about the incredible success of the client base. And I had holes. I was leaving money on the table. No one does that. That's business 101. So instead of outsourcing social media, now PR is sexy. It's called earned media. Now I get you the cover of the New York Times, the LA Times, the Chicago Tribune, the Boston Globe, the Times-Picayune. You are a hero. Hundreds of thousands of people saw you. But you can't take it and very quietly put it in the top drawer and not tell anyone. You have to do what? Put it on social media. So now our social media team takes Ray's hotshot PR, sticks it into a whole marketing campaign that reflects what your brand is. So Jen Drummond that I just told you about, the climber, the 44-year-old mom, beautiful, on her way to Papua New Guinea, just able to get into that country after someone was kidnapped, after a chopper pilot was killed. She's going into a country that is a level 3 from the State Department because she is a woman that won't be denied. I just sent her pitch to Kelly Clarkson and Tamron Hall today, and they're salivating to tell that story. So here's the way I made myself better. Social media, you betcha. The whole world doesn't want the earned media. It's not as cool as influencers. It's not as cool as likes. Well, for Jen, she's getting plenty of likes, but she's not getting as much engagement. For Dr. Kwane Stewart, the veterinarian, he had a brother that blew his social media up. But the more press we got, all of a sudden you see Katherine Heigl in LA seeing the Fox story about the veterinarian. She says, oh, what a kind-hearted guy. 20 minutes later, 60,000 likes. So I stopped leaving money on the table. Now we do PR, earned media. Now we do social media, entire marketing campaigns. And now there's a thread of continuity. The same messages you see in the PR, the same messages you see on TV, the same messages you see in social media. Then what do? I pay for myself. I know how to pitch. I've already pitched the story. I know everything about the client. Wouldn't it be nice if they had to pay a grand total of nothing for me? Why wouldn't I go to corporate America with the exact same story and say, hey, Jen Drummond, here's what she does. When she takes off and leaves her 7 kids, she has a jar of Hershey's Kisses, and there are red ones and silver ones. The red ones mean love, and that means even though I'm away from you, 7 kids, this is a way for you and I to engage in just a love hug. And the silver ones are for courage. Mom, do your thing. Kids, be strong. I'll be home soon. Who would I go after? Who would I pitch very first? Hershey's, right?
Yeah.
They're going to love that. It's not me making up silliness. It's the reality. What car did she drive that saved her life? Porsche. Why wouldn't I be all over that? She is a flawless rock of a woman. She is just an incredibly strong individual. She works like a wild child in the gym to be a climber. She never climbed in her life. She was an athlete as a kid, a soccer star, and this and that. But now, what does she look like? She looks perfect in those type of clothes. Why wouldn't I go after Vuori? Why wouldn't I go after Rolex? All the stuff. She loves staying feminine on the top of 15,000 feet in the air. So she has a dry shampoo she uses, and she looks incredible when she does live feeds from the mountain. So now the whole thing is a package, and that goes to, and that's the perfect answer to the perfect question. How do you make it better? You make it better by not leaving money on the table. You make it better by not saying, oh, Ray's a great publicist, but he doesn't know social media. You offer it all. I don't have to be the king of that. I just need to hire the king of that.
Yeah. And it's really cool how you've woven the two together, because that gives, as you said, the continuity. It expands the audience so much and really helps. So we got a comment here from Harry. Harry, thank you for the introduction. And this is how we got together. He said, Ray is an inspiration, brilliant, and good human. Thank you, Damon, for this great show. Well, thanks for the comment today, Harry. I'm glad you could stop by. And so let's talk a little bit about Kwane, because I want to, the veterinarian client of yours, to go through an example, because I think this is a cool one. Let's do it.
Yeah, here's the perfect example. This guy I meet in the gym, and everyone tells him, sorry, I was divergent there for a second. And everyone tells him, oh, you got to meet Ray. Ray's this national publicist. He works with people like you. It's ridiculous that you do what you do and no one really knows about it. Here's Kwane's story. It all starts with a backstory. There has to be, remember we talked about a feel good and go see Nora O'Donnell, tell us the feel good. Here's the backstory. Kwane's dad is an African American. His mother is Hispanic. Kwane ran track at a national level at university. Kwane's dad was a wide receiver for the Rams when they were, I believe, in St. Louis. Kwane comes to me and I say, my God, you've got everything. Kwane looks like a halfback. He's in his early 50s. He's got ripped abs. You know, we're hanging out in the men's room doing business, but, you know, in the locker room doing business, that's where they are. I've gotten clients in a steam room. And so I say to him, you've got everything, right? In the world of 2024, a good looking guy. Tell me about your story. Well, Ray, I am running track, and I talked to my track coach, and he says, in my last year of university, New Mexico, well, son, what are you going to do? And he says, I'm going to be a veterinarian. And the coach, who happens to also be African American, says, well, that's not really what our people do. And Kwane's response is, watch this. He does end up going to the best veterinary school in the nation. He is the only Black kid in that, and he is changing that right now as we speak. I'm going to go after corporate sponsorships. And you know what the first one's going to be? It's going to be to support him as he goes to predominantly Black universities and inspires those young kids to believe you can be more than the athlete that you are, more than the kids. You can break a mold. So Kwane ends up doing that. He gets through veterinary school. He's got $200,000 worth of bills from, from vet school.
Yes.
And he's working in Sacramento, and he is at one of the shelters. And he is really euthanizing. He is having to put down more puppies than he is able to save. He's frustrated. He walks into a 7-Eleven on just yet another day to get yet another $2 cup of coffee. And he steps over a homeless man who happens to have a dog there. And on his way out, he looks at the homeless gentleman and he looks at the dog and he says, excuse me, sir, my name is Dr. Kwane Stewart. I'm a veterinarian. and I notice your dog is in distress. I can see that your animal is really itchy and that his fur is disheveled, and I've got something for that. Would it be okay if I come back tomorrow, same 7-Eleven that he stopped over the same guy 10 million times, and bring something for your dog? He comes back tomorrow. He does bring medication for the dog, and he also brings a Subway sandwich for the gentleman, the homeless man. This is incredible. And if you take a look at Dr. Kwane, Kwane Stewart, Stewart, and you see his acceptance speech for last year's 2023 CNN Hero of the Year, he will tell this story better than me. Well, maybe. No, probably. So he gives the Subway sandwich to the gentleman. The gentleman tears off a little piece of crust for himself and gives the rest to the dog. And this is the way the homeless treat their pets. And so Kwane all of a sudden realizes, wait a second, I do have a calling. And he looks to the heavens and he does get inspiration. And he says, I'm going to take care of the homeless people's pets. And what he believed previous to that, and he calls himself on this, is that, oh, maybe the homeless aren't deserving of pets. Oh, maybe they can't take care of them like we can in our beautiful homes. Maybe they can't give them the same amount of time and dedication. It's all wrong. That's not true. Those are all holier than thou thoughts. Man, they take better care. When I go with Kwane, and he does this now, and I'll share in a few seconds, he goes to the worst hood all over California and now all over the nation. We would go to Skid Row, and those dogs were perfect. They would never bark. They would never come at you. He would come right up to these pit bulls the size of a city, put his hands behind their legs, to check out what's going on inside. And they loved him. He was the Pied Piper. So Kwane for 12 years told no one what he did. He took money out of his pocket. He gave vaccinations to dogs. He spent $5,000 doing surgical operations for dogs who really needed it. Wow. How incredible is that? Then this good-hearted guy buying his own medication, delivering his own medication, having the syringes, having the little black bag, going out with nothing but his scrubs, good-looking guy, 6'3", just a really charming individual and a man who was brought up beyond compare. I mean, his parents must be godlike. Would go out and take care of them, and they love him. They run up to him, and the dogs, again, no barking. I think last year he laughed. He posted on social media, for the first time in his veterinary career, 25 years or more, some little dog nipped him. He had never even been, nipped by a dog. Yeah. So he decides that's what he's going to do, and he finds me. I say to him, let's start, and we do start. He takes me downtown. We're both from San Diego, into the hood, and we see what it's like. It's during COVID. He's there hugging it out with him, not even a mask. I'm 200 yards behind, like in a hazmat suit, scared to death. Yeah. I mean, he is wearing his heart on his sleeve. He loves these people, and they love him back. No hazmat suits for him. Up close. Hi, my name is Dr. Kwane Stewart. A formal introduction. I can see you have a dog here. Would it be okay if I checked him or her out, or your litter of cats, or your parakeet, or all the other crazy snakes and stuff that he's seen over his years? And so I saw him do this. I saw the people run up to him. I saw him save endless animals. And I thought, this is kind of incredible. What am I going to do? Here's PR. Now, here's the time again to be note-taking. What do? First of all, you use local hooks. He's from San Diego and he used to live in LA. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go after San Diego and LA media. LA, second biggest media market in the nation. You get LA media. Wow, that's a godlike way to start your campaign.
Yeah.
In the first 2 months, I get him 5 covers of magazines. Use local to spark national. Then all of a sudden, and we get photo features. The front cover of the LA Times. The LA Times twice in 2 months. First, the cover of the LA Times, because there's a mayor's initiative to take care of the homeless, and he's there doing that. The next time, a 2-page spread on the cover of the feature section. No one gets the LA Times twice in 2 months. You have to wait a year until they do your story again, or longer. Then here's second PR tip. Target national and then international. So you start with local. They're all sheep. Media don't want to be the first one to do it. But I would invite them to go along to Skid Row. They'd all meet us at a McDonald's. We would walk from our cars to Skid Row. We had no idea who we'd meet. Some of them are nuts. Some of them are crazy. Some of them are coming up and being belligerent to him or me or whatever. But that certainly is the few and far between. And they would go with us. I would have 15 people from the media following him with cameras. I'd be speaking in French and English and Spanish. And it kept getting better. So that was local to spark national. Then you use print to spark broadcast. So here's broadcast. Broadcast is radio and TV. How do they do PR? I'll tell you how. They look at the major daily newspaper, the New York Times, the Chicago Tribune, the Houston Chronicle, the Times-Picayune in New Orleans, and they see what were the biggest stories. Well, they could only send so many camera crews to so many places. Whatever's left over, if you're on the front page, man, your guy is going to get TV because you just got him print. So you use local to spark national. You use print to spark broadcast. So by the time we went to broadcast, we had him on Jennifer Hudson. We had him on the Today Show. And he had an ongoing gig now, year after year. It's clear the shelters. We're going to help all the shelter dogs.
Yeah.
6'3" Kwane hanging out with little Al Roker and the whole NBC team, and 15 puppies that need to be adopted. And they all get adopted. They're peeing on the floor. They're humping Al Roker's leg. They're just ruining the whole perfect thing, and people can't get enough of it. Yeah. I get a call after that. We get a call, and it is from, I cannot tell you the name, but it is an A-list Hollywood individual, and they have their own production company. They say, we have seen this guy everywhere. We want to make a major motion picture about him. So the ramifications of this are incredible. Then we decided, okay, let's go after international. I have a great friend at the Associated Press. She cries after him going up to San Francisco, where she is based. She does a feature on him. It goes to 134 countries, and that adds another billion impressions to how many impressions we got him last year. Now, he's been local, he's been national, he's been international. Wouldn't it be nice if we were smart enough to nominate him for some accolades? So he does get nominated for CNN Hero of the Year amongst tens of thousands of people from endless countries, all doing incredible give back to the planet things. He wins. He gets $100,000 that evening. He turns around. This is unparalleled. This never happened in the history. As Anderson Cooper hands him a big old $100,000 check, he says to the other 9 finalists, total of 10 of them, I'm going to give each one of you 10,000. You're all doing something important. You're all doing something special. I'm going to keep 10. Each one of you keep 10. Keep on keeping on. By the time he gets back to sleepy little surf town San Diego, the San Diego Foundation loves him so much, they give him back the other 90,000 and say, keep doing what you're doing. He became a hero. He already was a hero. But when CNN calls you Hero of the Year, now media can't get enough of it. Everyone wants to do your story.
Yeah.
Right. And here's what happened from him. His favorite NBA star sent him everything signed. Right. That's just part of it. These are the benefits of using a publicist. This is the way the world can happen. And don't think just because you have a product or you have a service, as long as you're a doer, as long as you're a giver, as long as you have some philanthropic outreach, any of you can be these people. Here's what happens to him. He gets a connection to Hollywood. Now he's the chief veterinary medical officer for John Legend and Chrissy Teigen's brand new dog food, Kismet. He gets a TV commercial with Lexus. So go into the car, take your beautiful, the name of his dog is Cora. Of course, he got her from a shelter. Go, both of you get into the Lexus, say 15 words, and bam, there's another opportunity. He gets a movie. Again, the Hollywood celebrity who says, I want to make a movie about your life. We launch a book for him. He gets a beer named after him. Corporate sponsors that now throw, no kidding, no exaggeration, hundreds of thousands a year. Every single cent goes to his nonprofit.
Yes.
Donations, 750 grand for the GoFundMe, 500 million for Project Street Vet. Again, projectstreetvet.org. If this guy's story turns you on, go show him love. And again, he doesn't take a penny. So that's what it looks like. That's what happens. You get a guy who has a good heart, that has a great backstory. You get a female that was in an accident who should have been dead on the side of the road, decides to embrace life at a whole new level. You get a guy who was sitting in a jail cell who should have gone to prison. Somehow the universe gives him a break and he decides, I'm going to create the biggest vehicle in the world. And tattooed on his arm, instead of 42 billion, what he was making, the path that he was on, he put another tattoo on this arm and it says 42 billion, and that's how many people he wants to reach. Now it's like Jen Drummond, by the way, jendrummond.com. Sorry to sound like a commercial, but I love these people and you should go see them.
Yeah.
That's the climber. So now he realizes his vehicle is going to make philanthropy easier. It's going to make it better. It's going to make it more cohesive. They're not going to see 60s and 40% going to the people who should never be taking a single dime of it. These are the stories that Nora O'Donnell tells 20 minutes ago when you talked about, well, Ray, they must be happy when you pitch them with your silly little feel-good stories. You betcha.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love getting to listen to you about this, Ray, because you've taken these people that were doing great things and helped them to get the exposure and help them to get the relationships and the financial backing that they can continue to just multiply and exponentially increase that impact. It's so cool.
Thank you for that, Damon. It is, it does build, oops, I'm so sorry. That's my evil dog.
That's all right. They're good. They're
Wait,
good.
I can't really get up. Then you'll see.
Just fine. It's just fine, man. I've got one sitting here and I'm lucky that he hasn't gone off already too, but it's,
oh, he'll start your dog and then the whole thing will just go to hell in a handbasket.
yeah, it will.
You are right. I do
But
feel good about what I do. I do make a difference in their lives. I help turn on people that have uber wealth to a cause that turns them on. And that's why if I were to mentor or counsel anyone that listens or watches your podcast, and I know there are a gazillion of them that do, it is don't be trepidatious. Don't be afraid. Oh, Ray's people were already big. No, they were just doing something good and kind. They didn't know they were important. They didn't know they were bigger than life. One's just a mom and her 8-year-old challenges her. Oh, well, if you're going to have a new lease on life, then go climb Mount Everest. So she does it. The other's losing money. He's making no money. He's killing more dogs than saving them. And all of a sudden now he takes the few dollars that are left to give to a cause. And now the world rewards him for his incredible generosity and empathy and capacity to give. Yeah. It is a ridiculous way to wake up. I love being me.
That's awesome, Ray. Well, I tell you, I just wanted to say for the people that were listening, it's time for us to wrap up today, Ray. I love having you on. We're going to have you back again and talking some more of these great stories and some of these people, just the amazing stories that you have and the amazing people that you're helping. And like I said, you're showing how to get the exposure, how to further their cause and the impact that they're making. It's so awesome. So
thank you.
Purple Penguin PR. That's what's the website address? So we make sure we got that.
www.purplepenguin, PENGUIN, PR, like public relations.com.
There we go.
Go to the case studies, by the way, people. Go take a look. So we don't have endless time. You'll see Kwane, who we talked about. You'll see Debbie Fields of Mrs. Fields Cookies. Yeah. You'll see Rob Dyrdek. Remember Rob Dyrdek on MTV Fantasy? Yep. DC Shoes had never hired a PR firm. Rob Dyrdek used to come over to my house and go, all right, I need to have a skate park. So I take him up and down the coast of California. Brian Scudamore, 1-800-GOT-JUNK. You see him on national commercials all the time. Tiny little Doug Flutie should have never been in the NFL, but was bigger than life. So again, I've been blessed. Go take a look at that. And if it inspires you, send me an email, ray@purplepenguinpr.com. And if I can give you insights or if I can help you or if I can help give you a vision that takes you from A to Z, so be it, man. That's why I'm here.
That's awesome, Ray. Well, thanks for being here today. I want to thank all the listeners out there today for listening and tuning in. I saw there was a bunch of you online. That's awesome. Thanks so much. And if you got into this late, go back to the beginning and start over. Listen to Ray. Listen to how he is helping these people, making an awesome impact in our world, make it even more awesome with his public relations and getting them out there and getting those people in front of more people so they can make a bigger difference. We will be back again next week, people. Thanks so much for being here. Ray, just hang out for a moment. We'll finish up offline.